Hello and welcome to our 30-minute yoga practice. I'm so glad you're here today. Today's practice will be a full body practice with a concentration on mindfulness. Such an important tool, especially during times of stress. So we'll start out slow so we can really feel our body, connect with our breath. Then we'll move a little bit more quickly in like a flow. And then we'll finish up with a couple of long hold poses to really get some good stretching in. So glad you're here. We have a lot to do, so let's get started. Just come onto your mat, feet hip distance apart. Spread your toes. Root down through the four corners of each foot. So we're rooting down through the feet, but lifting up to the rest of our body. Kneecaps pulling up, glutes pulling up, belly pulling in, top of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. Roll your shoulders back a couple of times. And just pause here. Let's start with some deep breathing. Inhaling through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, open mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale and bring your arms up overhead. Fingertips touch. Fingers are spread. And just notice. Notice how the body automatically lengthens as you raise your arms up towards the ceiling. Keep rooting down through your feet, noticing what you're doing in your core. Is your core still pulling in? Are your glutes still nice and strong? Shoulders pressing down. I'm going to turn to the side a little bit so that I can go through each pose. But on your next breath, reach your fingertips back. Drop your shoulders closer to the mat. Go as far or as gently as it feels good. Gaze goes up towards the ceiling. You can close your eyes. Again, still feel the feet rooting down through the mat, but stretching the body back. Noticing how that feels in the back of your spine and the opening in the front of your spine as well. Take a deep breath in. And on your next exhale, straighten. And then come into your first forward bend. You might feel a little tight. The first bends are always kind of tight on those hamstrings, but just release into it. So while in the forward bends, we still want to be rooting down through the four corners of each foot. We want to make sure the hips are over the ankles. So sometimes we need to lean into the toes. Relax the head. Turn the head from side to side. Just let the body fall over into the pose a little bit deeper. Notice where you're feeling this the most. Most people feel it in their hamstrings, but let the neck relax. So the weight of the head is pulling on your neck a little bit to get that nice stretch. And notice your breathing. A little hard to breathe down into the belly in this pose, but just notice if the breath is still slow and steady. And then on your next inhale, come halfway up. So here, you can bring your hands to your thighs, to your shins, or bring the fingertips down to the mat. Still a hamstring stretch. Press your shoulders back. Keep your belly pulling in. Bring your chin forward and notice. Notice where you're really feeling this pose and notice where you're not feeling it, like maybe in your eyebrows. Keep the belly pulled in. Breathe, and on the next exhale, come back into your forward bend. Release the head. Step your left foot back into humbled warrior pose. Drop the hips. Feel that nice stretch through the groin. And let the weight of your upper body fall on your right thigh. So your hands are still on the mat. You can even come into cupcake hands or on your fingertips. Look right off the top of your mat. And notice how you release the hips. You get a nice stretch, especially on that left side. The weight of the body is on that right leg for a nice massage of the colon, good for digestion. Make sure the toes on that right foot are spread nice and wide. Notice your breath, slow and steady. Pull your belly in to prepare for lifting up out of this pose. And then as you steady yourself, raise your arms up overhead as you bring your shoulders over your hips. Spread your fingers, reach your arms up high, looking straight in front of you. Maybe dropping deeper into the pose or coming out of it a little bit more. Remember, nothing should hurt in yoga, so if you need to make any adjustments, of course, do so. And notice if you can relax into this pose, or if it's taking a lot of effort to hold it. Maybe you're starting to tremble or sway from side to side. That's fine. Just be aware of it and notice your thoughts connected to that. On your next breath, open up into Warrior Two. So I'm opening to the left. And again, I like to play with this a little bit, bending that front knee. And then coming out, that massages the kneecap. That's really nice to do. Arms are reaching out in opposite directions. Fingers are spread. And the gaze is over that right hand. Neck is nice and long. A little bit of a pelvic tilt here too to keep the hips aligned. And notice the breath. Notice the muscles that are working hard. Notice if you're still rooting down evenly on both feet, on the four corners of each foot. Sometimes that back foot will roll into the instep, so notice that. One more breath. And on your next inhale, let's come into a reverse warrior. So that left shoulder is nice and relaxed. Right arm comes up towards the ceiling, gaze is up. If you want, you can even reach back a little bit more for a deeper stretch. Keep that left shoulder nice and relaxed. And hold. You want to massage that knee again by kind of swaying forward and back. That's nice. Always staying mindful in your practice. So noticing the breath. Noticing how the muscles change the longer we hold the pose. And on the next inhale, come back into Warrior Two. Beautiful posture. And then on your next exhale, we'll reach it over with that left hand, nice and long. Try to stack those shoulders, bring the gaze up towards the ceiling. Notice if, as you do that, maybe you lose a little balance a little bit, totally normal, but just notice. And notice the words that you might say to yourself, like, oh no, I'm going to fall over, or, oh, why can't I do this? Let all that negative self-talk go away. And just feel the beauty of the pose. Even the swaying, it's a beautiful thing. Inhale and come back to Warrior Two. Do you feel the burning in your right thigh? I do. So be aware of that. And then on your exhale, rainbow the arms down to the mat and step that right foot back. Pedal it out. Nice and slowly in down dog. Release your neck. Opposite heels pressing down into the mat, but pedal nice and slowly. And then pause in down dog. Pushing your hands into the mat so that the hips slide up and back. Relax the neck. Head is hanging down. Look back at your knees. Let's pause here for a few breaths as we notice how this pose changes the longer we hold it. Notice what's happening in the hamstrings and the calves. Notice if your heels are down onto the mat or maybe they're up off the mat. Either way is fine. And check in with the breath. Is it slow and steady? Is it short and shallow? Try to breathe deeply with each pose. Long, deep inhale. Slow and steady exhale. Lift that left leg up behind you, point your toes, and reach back. Notice when you make that change, where you feel this the most. Do you feel it in the leg that's lifting, or is it in the leg that's on the mat? And just draw some circles in the air, a couple times in one direction, and then a couple times in the opposite direction. If you start getting tired, just notice what that feels like. Notice the self-talk. Try to stay positive. And then pause, lift that leg up behind you, and then shift forward, bend that knee, and bring that left foot between your two hands. Release the hips down to the mat. Get that nice stretch through the groin. Look off the top of your mat. Keep the head in line with the spine. Drop the right knee. You can keep the knee up if you like, more of a challenge. Otherwise, drop the right knee. Steady yourself here. And when you're ready, lift your arms up off the mat, dropping the hips deeper into the pose. Nice stretch through the groin. Notice how this pose feels. Notice where you're feeling it the most. Notice where you're not feeling the pose. And then feel the breath. Trying to keep it slow and steady throughout. And on your next inhale, reach those arms back. Shine your heart up. Bring your gaze up to the ceiling. Noticing if that affects your balance at all. And then as you exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat. Shift your left foot back into down dog. Walk it out a little bit. Bring your knees to the mat. And let's pause in child's pose. Bring your arms along the sides of your body though. Forehead to the mat. Release the whole weight of your body on your lap. Relax your arms and your shoulders. Take a couple breaths here. And just notice. Notice not only how you're feeling in this pose, but also notice your breath. A little harder to breathe deep in child's pose, but do your best. Notice the conversation in your head. Keeping it positive at all times. And then on your next breath, come up into tabletop. Tuck your toes. Come back into down dog. Separate your feet the width of your mat. And just shift your weight from side to side a couple times. Relax the neck, relax the head. And notice as you shift from side to side, does each hip feel the same as the other one, or maybe they feel different? Pausing in the middle, bring your feet back to hip distance apart. Walk your feet forward or hop forward. Reverse swan dive and come all the way up. And bring your hands to heart center. Inhale through your nose. Open mouth, exhale. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Nice job on that, everybody. Notice how you're feeling in your body compared to when we first started our practice just a few minutes ago. Maybe you feel a little warmer. Maybe your heart rate is up, maybe not. Maybe you're feeling a little looser in your joints. Let's try that same sequence on the other side. I'm going to face this way this time, so I don't want my back to you. So once again, we'll start with reaching up towards the ceiling. Fingertips touch, fingers are spread, rooting down through the four corners of each foot, but pulling up through the rest of the body. Kneecaps pull up, glutes are tight and pulling up, belly's in and up. Shoulders are down, but top of the head reaching up, so nice and long here. Inhale and reach back. Gaze up at the ceiling, heart is shining up, fingertips are reaching back. And inhale, straighten. Exhale, fold. Just pausing here for a moment and noticing if this fold feels a little easier than the very first one we did. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Just notice for yourself. Everyone will be different. Head is nice and long, or neck is nice and long, so head is hanging. Inhale and come halfway up. Weight is in the toes to help your hips stay over your ankles. Chin is forward. Nice hamstring stretch. Bend your knees if you have to. And exhale, fold. Bring your right foot back for a low lunge. Coming again into humbled warrior pose. Make any adjustments so that you can keep your knee over your ankle. Let the whole weight of your torso fall on that left leg now. Or maybe drop the hips a little bit more, add some movement to the pose if that feels good. And then steady yourself here. This is a little bit of a balancing challenge for some. When you're ready, use your core to lift your body up. Arms up overhead. Again, we can just drop lower. You can kind of raise a little bit. Play with it and make it your own. But stay mindful in the pose. Notice maybe this side feels different from the other side. I'm having just a little something going on my knee there, so I'm aware of that. No judgment, just awareness. Trying to keep the mind neutral. And then on your next breath, open up into warrior two, nice and strong. Arms are reaching out. Inhale and reverse your warrior. That right shoulder is nice and relaxed. Left arm is reaching back. Feel that whole stretch through the side body. And then exhale, dancing warrior. Reaching over, trying to keep those shoulders stacked. Sometimes we fall forward here. We want to stack the shoulders, reach up with that right arm, looking up towards the ceiling. Notice how grounded you feel, or maybe you're swaying back and forth. Just notice that. And then inhale, come back to warrior two. And exhale, rainbow down into down dog. Pausing here for a moment, drop your head. Feel the pose. Feel those hamstrings. Are they getting more flexible? Are they as tight as they were in the first down dog? Maybe. Or maybe not. We're just noticing. Mindful yoga practice. Raise your right leg up behind you. Down dog split, nice and long. Point your toes. Push your hands away from your foot. Draw circles in the air. A couple times in one direction. A couple times in the opposite direction. Check in with your breath. Is it still slow and steady? On your next exhale, bring that right foot to the front of your mat, in between your hands. Again, you can stay up off that back knee, or you can release that knee down to the earth, whatever feels better for you. Maybe drop the hips a little bit more so you get a nice stretch through the groin. Inhale. Lift your arms up overhead. And then reach back behind you. Open up your heart. Gaze up towards the sky, even though I'm looking at the ceiling. Nice, gentle back bend here. And release your hands back down to your mat. Come back into down dog. Pedal it out. And then come down into child's pose. Bringing the hands along the sides of your body, forehead down on the mat. Just roll through your wrists a couple of times, open and close your fists. And just a couple of breaths right here. Just to take a moment to kind of examine where we are in our minds, how we're feeling in our bodies. This practice of mindfulness helps us off the mat as well, especially in times of stress. So we practice it in a safe environment so that outside the studio, the skills just kind of pop in automatically. Okay, we're gonna finish our practice today with a long hold pose. And I'm gonna do down dog. We're gonna hold it for about 2 minutes. The idea is that a longer hold, a longer stretch through a pose really helps to change the shape of the muscle, to really enhance the flexibility part of the practice. If your wrists are getting tired, you can always lean on your fists, or you can get a towel or roll your mat back a little bit for some extra padding. So let's come into down dog. And just take a moment to set yourself up in the pose. You can keep your knees bent. You can bend your knees a lot if you want to. If you'd prefer to do more of a dolphin pose so that you're on your forearms and that won't affect your wrists, you can try that instead. But we are going to hold this for 2 minutes. So make sure you're comfortable. And then the breathing during these long holds is a little different because what we want to do is turn off the stretch reflex by helping our mind to relax. And this type of breathing we're going to do is going to help us to do that. The stretch reflex causes our body to tense up when we get into a stretch pose. So we want to turn that off. So let's get into our whatever down dog version you're going to do. And then here we go with the breathing. It's going to be breathing in to the count of 4 and out through the mouth for a count of 8. So we'll begin together. Let's everyone kind of release your breath. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have another minute to go. Keep breathing. The difference between these long hold poses and regular yoga is that we're not so worried about alignment. We want to relax into the pose. Even if you come out of alignment, it's okay. So feel your body just being kind of drawn down towards the earth, relaxing into the pose, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the hips, making an adjustment if you need to. Try to hang in there. If something is hurting, especially your wrists, and you just can't take it, of course get out of the pose and make some adjustments. But if you can hang in there, the benefits of these long stretches, and in this pose, especially in the hamstring, are really profound. So one more breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice job, everybody. Come into child's pose. Reach your hands in front of you. Rotate through your wrists. Press your tailbone back. Relax your forehead on the mat. Tell yourself, excellent job, even for just showing up today. So great to be with all of you. And then slowly come up into tabletop. Cross your ankles behind you. Shift your weight. We're just going to come onto our back and prepare for Shavasana. Last pose, my favorite pose. Bend your knees, bring your feet on the mat, and just let your legs sway from side to side. I love this movement. So good for the lower back and the knees and the thighs. Pause with your legs in the middle. Extend your legs on the mat. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch in opposite directions. And then just release your arms to the side into your favorite version of Shavasana. Let your feet flop out. Close your eyes. Inhale through your nose. Open mouth. Exhale. And then just go back to any kind of breathing that's comfortable for you. Just stay focused on the rhythm of your breath. Let that rhythm be almost like a lullaby that helps to relax you. Just noticing the wonder of this thing of our breath that just keeps going every day without us having to even think about it. So grateful for each additional breath. Just about 4 more breaths here. And when you're ready, just start moving your body mindfully. And then roll over onto one side. And help yourself up into a seated position. Last moment of mindfulness in our practice. Sitting up nice and tall, sits bones rooted down, hands on your knees. Nice long spine, top of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open mouth, exhale. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Nice to be with you, even though we can't be in person. This is the next best thing. Please check out all the videos on YouTube from Driven. We're so happy to be spending this time with you. Namaste, everybody.